April 1241. A cold mist hung over the Sejo River in the Kingdom of Hungary. On one side stood the army of King Bela IV, thousands of soldiers, armored knights, and infantry. Confident they had finally forced the Mongols into a position they could hold, they believed the river protected them. Before dawn, Mongol forces began attacking the main bridge across the river. Hungarian troops rushed to defend it, pushing back repeated assaults. In the darkness, it looked like a direct and determined attack, but it was not the only one. Further downstream, under cover of night, another Mongol force crossed the river, using a hastily prepared crossing. The movement was coordinated, deliberate, timed to unfold alongside the pressure at the bridge. As morning broke, the Hungarian army found itself under attack from multiple directions. Arrows began falling across the camp. Cavalry units moved along the flanks. Formations broke as commanders struggled to respond to a battlefield that no longer had a single front. Within hours, the Hungarian army collapsed. This was not a chaotic battle. It was a coordinated operation, and one of the key commanders behind it was a man few would remember. His name was Subutai. Subutai was born around 1175 into the Uryankai tribe, a forest-dwelling tribe of the Mongol world. His father is traditionally described as a blacksmith, a craftsman, not a noble. In most medieval societies, that would have set clear limits on his future. But under Genghis Khan, the Mongol world operated differently. Advancement depended less on birth and more on loyalty, skill, and usefulness to the growing empire. Subutai entered Mongol service as a young man, without rank or status. What he brought with him was not lineage but discipline and a growing reputation for reliability. As the Mongol Empire expanded, Subutai became one of the commanders trusted with increasingly complex responsibilities. He served in campaigns that stretched far beyond Mongolia, operating across Central Asia and into unfamiliar territories. He worked alongside other notable generals, including Jebe, and took part in long-range operations that required coordination over vast distances. These were not simple raids. They involved reconnaissance, timing, and communication between separate forces, something that was difficult to achieve in the 13th century. Subutai proved effective in this kind of warfare. His role was not only to fight, but to plan. By the later years of Genghis Khan's rule, Subutai had become one of the empire's most capable senior commanders. His approach emphasized preparation. He relied heavily on scouts to gather intelligence, studying terrain and tracking enemy movement before committing to battle. He made use of feigned retreats, drawing opponents out of position and disrupting their formations before launching a more decisive attack. He also participated in campaigns that involved multiple Mongol armies, operating far apart, but moving with a shared objective. This level of coordination gave the Mongols a significant advantage over opponents used to more direct forms of warfare. After the death of Genghis Khan in 1227, Subutai continued to serve under his successor, Ogedei Khan. It was during this period that he would take part in one of the most ambitious campaigns of the empire. In the late 1230s, Mongol forces advanced into Eastern Europe. Rather than moving as a single army, the campaign involved multiple forces entering different regions, including Poland and Hungary. To those facing them, these invasions could appear unconnected. In reality, they were part of a broader strategy. Mongol forces defeated European armies in separate engagements, preventing them from effectively uniting. One army moved through Poland, while another advanced into Hungary. The campaign in Hungary would become one of the most decisive. At the Battle of Mohi in 1241, Mongol forces faced the army of King Bela IV near the Sejo River. The Hungarians positioned themselves defensively, using the river as a barrier and concentrating their forces near a key bridge. Mongol troops launched repeated attacks on this bridge, drawing Hungarian attention and resources toward its defense. At the same time, another Mongol force moved across the river at a different point, using a temporary crossing constructed during the night. As the battle developed, Hungarian forces were attacked from multiple directions. Their position, initially strong, became difficult to maintain, under pressure from coordinated assaults. Some historical interpretations suggest that gaps in the encirclement may have contributed to the disorderly retreat of Hungarian forces, though the exact details remain debated. What is clear is that the Hungarian army suffered a decisive defeat. The battle demonstrated a level of planning and coordination that was unusual for the period. Subutai is widely considered to have played a central role in this operation. By the time of the European campaigns, Subutai was no longer a young man. Based on available estimates, he was likely in his later years, possibly in his 60s. He was not remembered for physical strength or personal combat, but for his ability to organize and direct large-scale operations. He served under multiple leaders of the Mongol Empire and remained a trusted commander throughout his career. Despite his contributions, he did not rule territory or establish a dynasty. His role remained within the military structure of the empire. Subutai died around 1248, after decades of service that took him across much of Eurasia. The Mongol Empire would go on to become the largest contiguous land empire in history. Figures like Genghis Khan would be remembered as its founders and leaders. But many of the campaigns that expanded that empire relied on commanders who operated beyond the spotlight. Subutai was one of them. History often remembers the names at the front of an empire, but the outcomes of history are just as often shaped by those who planned the path behind them.